because we do not have a corkscrew.
No, we use the
Help
method.
us, Kamen Rider G!
It's me, a flamingo.
Kamen Rider G, you may not have heard of, because he is not, well, he's official, but he doesn't show up in the crossovers.
Kind of weird that, isn't it?
Well, not really. Shall I tell the story?
Go ahead, please, thanks.
Kamen Rider G was the creation of the official Kamen Rider studio, the official Kamen Rider creative team, but it was a SMAP challenge. If you haven't heard of SMAP, well, you probably have heard of SMAP because they're a pretty famous group.
Well, look, come up, the internet's right there, you're using it.
Google.
Anyway.
SMAP have these days a talk show on which they do various fun things, and one of them was the member called Goro decided he wanted to be a Kamen Rider, and as it was the Heisei 10th anniversary, the year of decade, they said, well sure, why not, we'll do it. So they did. They created him his own Kamen Rider name, his own suit, his own little story, and his own gimmick. Kamen Rider G's gimmick is wine. He has an amazing henshin belt that's like uncorking a bottle. And so we're cooking with wine.
It all fits.
Ta-da!
Yeah, that's our classy wine. Let me just get it, and let me get a nice close-up. Oh.
I got this for Christmas.
It's also covered in streaks because it keeps falling out the fridge. You can tell we care.
We never drink wine. So whenever I'm gifted it, we cook with it. And this week we're cooking coq au vin. It's not rude, it's just French. It's not very complex, but that's good because this is Let's Go Ryder Cook, and Ryder doesn't need to be complex.
Dun, dun.
Now, there are many different coq au vin recipes, but this one is very simplified and it's quite fast because that's what we're here for. Fun times, not tricky, confusing times. So you will need part of a chicken. You can buy packaged chicken how you like. We bought a whole one, which I portioned, and we're only using these 2 legs because we don't need a whole chicken for one meal. This is probably going to be pushing it, but and that also means that we're able to make our own chicken stock, which is nicer than the kind that you buy, even though the kind that you buy can be very delicious. So if you're using that, don't worry. But it's very, very satisfying to make your own chicken stock. This lovely, silky... I mean, it probably doesn't look very good.
I don't think it's lovely and silky, for the record.
But I've always... this has always been a thing that happens in kitchens that have been attached to my house. So I'm very used to chicken stock.
See, my folks didn't make their own stock, so to me it's pretty alien. And if, like me, you don't like gross things, like I do,
like a rider would. But if you're in a rush, or if you don't want to, or don't have any knives or something to portion your own chicken, then any kind of stock is fine. You will also need some bacon. You'll need a carrot. You'll need some wine, and you'll need some herbs. You can use dried herbs. I happen to have fresh herbs. In here I have a bay leaf that's been used before, but that's fine. You can use them a few times.
Bay leaves are hella strong, they last for a while.
I've got some rosemary, and I've got, I forget whether this is thyme or marjoram. I think it's thyme.
Pretty sure it's thyme.
Marjoram is what you will probably know as oregano or oregano or whatever. They're the same thing.
I think it's worth pointing out there is a lot more seasoning suddenly in this than in previous episodes. Yeah. Tackle and Stronger wouldn't have been able, this would have been too much for them when they're travelling around with their travel noodles.
Yes.
But with G, there's an air of decadence and perhaps maturity that we're trying to reflect with a slightly more complex meal, but it's still easy.
G is a person who would go to a lot of trouble, probably for everything. He does a bit of the whole I can't be with you, I love you thing, and if you're willing to go to those lengths, you're probably also willing to go to the trouble of finding a bay leaf.
Yeah, at least.
Which herb is marjoram and so on.
If you can blow up a G in a building, possibly injuring innocent people, you can find herbs.
But as a side dish, we're also going to be having some lightly stir-fried vegetables with various additions, which I will show you later. And this, you see, each of these vegetables are fairly common. You could probably find them in a lot of places, and individually they're not necessarily anything special, but if you bring them together, if you treat them just right, they will keep you going for ages.
And we've got 5.
It's a metaphor for a boy band.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Snap veg.
Yeah,
card.
make your own vegetable boy band.
A lot of coq au vin recipes will be based in butter, like a lot of French cooking is based in butter. But I have chosen to cook this with sesame oil, brown your chicken with sesame oil. And that is not only because sesame oil is used pretty often in Japanese cooking, but because it's supposed to be relaxing, it's supposed to be a stress reliever. And if you are an adult man who is kidnapped, brainwashed, re-brainwashed,
no, that's not me.
On the run, camel riding is stressful, and so we want to let Goro calm down. So we're going to brown our chicken with sesame oil. It's going to be really delicious. If you have shallots, you can do the red onion if you like. You're the chef at a restaurant, you don't have to answer to anybody. We only need half an onion. If your oil is hot enough, let's check. Can you hear that?
You can, I'm sure they can hear that.
If you want to place the chicken in with your hands, then you can.
And lay it in, don't drop it in.
Because we're using skin on chicken, you want to brown it before you cook it. If you have skinless chicken, you don't need to fry it before you fry the onions. It's up to you.
Quite a lot of flexibility, as there often is in...
All cooking has flexibility.
Yeah.
That's something that is important to learn pretty soon, because if you cook with confidence, it will go right. If it goes horribly wrong, then if you still have confidence, then you can just be like, well, you know, I'll do better next time.
First prize in a pie contest with a burnt pie.
We did.
So have it.
I'm going to have to shout because it's noisy.
You got the fan on.
But once your chicken is browning, turn it over. Can you see the way that the oil is spitting?
They can hear it.
That's not a problem. Don't get excited and think you've messed it up. You haven't. You probably do want to wear an apron.
Like
if
we're
these
not.
tiny spits of oil hit you, they'll sting mildly. They won't do you any lasting damage.
Go.
Once you get to the point where your chicken is browned on both sides, you're basically just at the check everything in moment. The herbs you chuck them in, the lot, the onion, your carrot which you have chopped, chuck it in.
Chuck it in.
You get your wine, and you chuck it in, and your chicken stock goes in too.
Yeah.
It should just about be covered. Then you just leave it to simmer for about 15 minutes, at which point we will come back and do some other things. Just like the love between Kamen Rider G and his female lead protagonist woman, it's never too late. And so, though I forgot to add the vinegar, let's do it now. This is blackberry vinegar, as mentioned before. You could use balsamic vinegar, which is brilliant also. 2 tablespoons. Delicious. A rider takes their blade seriously. So, let's learn how to peel a carrot with a knife.
No, no.
What you don't want to do is chop into it. What you don't want to do is skate over it. You want to cut just gently, so you're on an angle. You cut so you're just cutting into the top layer. And you can use a curved knife if you rather. Some people find that easier. Just skin,
and don't
skin,
saw.
Skin.
Yeah,
it's just
one,
gentle stroking. And if you miss, it doesn't matter.
Don't do it towards yourself.
No, just practice. And eventually it will start to come really easily. If you have to go slowly to start with, that's fine. But try and relax, don't tense up. If you tense up, you're more likely to skid and cut yourself. You can cut your carrot however you want. I like to vary texture and shape, so I'm going to cut these into sort of arrowhead spear shape type things. Long, well, you'll see. Because I've got round courgette, hoop pepper, and I've got the shredded cabbage.
It all adds up in the end, bit of diversity.
The shape that I'm going to use means the carrot goes very, not soft, but sort of...
Tender!
Tender? Yes, I suppose tender. It will, if you held it up, it would wiggle, but it still has a crunch to it. Just keep turning it around, and you can turn it over and go again. Now, courgette is very easy to cut, so you can cut it very, very thin. All of these vegetables can be eaten raw. If you cut them very thick and they don't fully cook, that doesn't matter. They will still be edible. You probably still enjoy it. You may find you like it even better. I'm feeling like a change, so I'm going to turn it on its end and cut it this way.
Whoa! I used to hate courgette, but you know, I'm sure Goro hated his hideous cyborg body at first.
I'm sure he did.
Look how that wound up.
You can see that I'm using my index finger as a guide for where to cut. See, look at that. But if your knife is too new, you will cut slivers off your finger. You don't want to cut your finger, you want to feel and help and use your finger to push the blade to where it wants to be, and then you can move back once you've got a bite on the courgette, and that will help you to cut to your satisfaction. If you're cutting something round, once you get past halfway, you'll want to turn it around because you want to be gripping the thickest part that you can. Peppers. You can get them all sizes. You can use a normal bell pepper, you can use a long red sweet pepper, it doesn't matter. Our local grocer sells bags of peppers for £1, so we get those all the time.
Pound's like $20, right?
But a pepper has seeds inside, of course, so you want to slice the top off and use your curved knife to cut around the membranes. Just pluck out the middle. So we're at 15 minutes, maybe 20 into our coq au vin cooking, and we're back to make the vegetable part. So I'm starting with bacon, because the internet, right? No, only one strip for us. You can have as many as you like, but I wouldn't recommend overwhelming the vegetables with bacon. Streaky if you like, you can have smoked, it doesn't matter. Cut your bacon into lardons and add them to your hot oil. I like to use scissors with bacon. I think it's a waste to use a knife on bacon because it's so thin already. You can't feel that you're doing anything. I also use scissors on chilies because when my mum was at university, she touched the chili and then touched her eye, and she told me many, many times how much she wanted to die after that happened. So I am very careful with chilies. Not with knives, but with chilies. You also want to add garlic. I didn't show you adding the crushed garlic cloves to the coq au vin, but they went in first.
Just trust us.
The bacon's browning nicely. Basically, you just bang all your vegetables in. They don't have any particular order. If you've cut some thicker than others, then put the thickest ones in first, unless you particularly want them to be crunchy. There it is.
There's a lot of chucking in this recipe,
yeah.
in fairness.
Well, that's what makes it unintimidating, I think. It's like cuisine, but it's not hard and it's not frightening. Once all that's in, you want to turn it down and just keep tossing it until things start to look a little cooked. You'll know when. For the last while, it depends how low your sauce is getting, how much wine you used, but I would cover it just to be sure that it's finally done. While that is bubbling under there, your vegetables are starting to look cooked, and that's good. So now you just want to add the sauce. This is sweet chili sauce, just, you know, generic brand, whatever. You can make your own, but you don't have to.
Don't make your own, because it smells rank when you're making it.
It does, because the recipe I use, at least, has a lot of fish sauce. Not everyone likes the stuff.
Well, fish sauce is great, but cooking fish sauce over all day, massive quantities of it, not good on the nose.
It's just...
Hey, that's the wine term.
Just add the piquancy to your vegetables. And some soy sauce. That's all we've got left. So I've used all of it, but you want to use about 2 tablespoons.
Now, what is piquant? Because that's a French thing. That's the kind of thing G might know.
That's true. Piquancy is a sort of... it's a sort of juicy pepperiness.
I thought you were going to say it's a sort of je ne sais quoi.
That would be a good way of putting it.
It's tangy, isn't it?
It adds a bit of verve to vegetables. Because vegetables can, whether through their own taste or through your mind, feel kind of, you know, frumpy. But piquancy will...
Oh, that's rubbish, isn't it? Yeah, vegetables are ace.
Well, in fact, like, you know, a 36-year-old man might, you know, feel or look, or the thought of it might be like, yeah, whatever. But adding Kamen Rider or adding Popstar or whatever, piquant. Goro is so piquant.
Suddenly sweet, yeah. We did have a little debate over whether he was the oldest rider ever. I think we agreed he's the...
At time of filming,
Yeah.
he was the oldest main rider, at least.
Yeah.
There was some old guy in there, but... No, not me. And this is all ready.
Yeah.
Serve it with your carb of choice.
What are we going to do?
We're going to go without.
We're going to go without.
We're grown-ups and we do what we want.
We don't need carbs! But you could have pasta or some rice.
You could have roast potatoes, you could have chips, you could have noodles. It really doesn't matter. Rice, just, you know, bang it on whatever you like. You are the master of your own destiny. Wake up from the brainwashing that made you a kaijin of only boiled potatoes and become the adult who makes their own decisions. I believe in you.
Nice.
You can do it.
Great.
Your Snack Amigo signing out.
Bye.